My question, and I'll ask both of you, but I'll start with Mr. Warnick. Redactions. I've received access to information requests where 40 pages will be redacted, and it will reference the act, and then you have 40 pages, which can in some cases include an entire document that is not available. So I guess my question is quite broad, but how do we make sure that that redactions are done properly, and that it's not being done to avoid accountability when it comes to the public's right to know? Mr. Warnick, I'll start with you, and then Mr. Lapointe.
Well, I think whether it is a request-based model where something is released, or something is released unless there's an argument not to. Redaction is the process of separating, from the releasable from the unreleasable. It does require the exercise of judgment and interpretation of the law and the practices. So I think the first screen should be clarity and definitions. So very precise and clear language and definitions, which could be updated from the 1980s version of them. To catch up with current practice. And then I think you have to give the commissioner a role in challenging and overseeing and having the ability to call out what he or she sees as inappropriate redaction. At the end of the day, you can go to the federal court, and the courts would have the final say on a lot of issues. I believe the federal court should have the final say on any issue to do with whether cabinet confidences are involved or not. And my recommendation, you'll see in the brief, is that the definition of cabinet confidences is far too broad right now.
Okay, thank you, and I do want to hear from you, Mr. Lapointe. But just to follow up, Mr. Warnick, the need for resources for the information commissioner. We've heard from a number of witnesses saying that it's all well and good to have the ability to make orders, but if there's no meaningful, or if there's not enough resources to ensure that that's a meaningful process, or that those in the conflict of interest commissioners, the access to information commissioner's office don't have the resources to meaningfully follow through on those things, that's problematic. Do you have any comments on that briefly, and then I'll get to Mr. Lapointe?
Well, it's ultimately up to Parliament to decide how much to appropriate, and you have a range of officers and agents and feedback loops from the information commissioner, the privacy commissioner, the auditor general, the parliamentary budget office, the official languages commissioner, conflict of interest commissioner, the lobbying commissioner, the integrity commissioner, and on and on and on. So there are about 3,000 people and about $40 million invested in watchdogs. And that doesn't go to the people that work in departments and agencies actually having to chase down in computer systems or filing cabinets or old archives, paper documents. So there is, the private sector uses a term cost of sales or cost of productions. There is a cost of transparency within the federal system, but you have the power of the purse, and you have the ability to affect the appropriations and supply to those agencies.
Okay, thank you. And about a minute, Mr. Lapointe, if you have something to add.
Well, my world record for redacted document was a 2,700-page one. Got lovely new sheets of paper to put into my fax machine, and at the time. But I would say that it does invest in empowering the information commissioner to have greater oversight, and if necessary, then to perhaps have a small agency, a small board, a small adjunct to the information commissioner's office in order to help arbitrate redactions so that the public interest is served better.
Thank you, Mr. Kurek. We are now going to go to Mr. Baines for